Hello everyone and welcome to the last segment of my question time with Haresh Gangwani, the CEO of Bolstra, a customer success firm. So by now you must have heard Haresh share his opinions about the concept of what customer success is, how is it different from CRM. He also started talking about how it should be part of a strategy of a firm, how would you go about implementing it, and then he's also started talking about the concept of metrics and how you need to be looking at lead metrics and lag metrics as well. And apparently this message has to be brought by the customer success manager, who, based on my understanding of Haresh's description, has to be an individual with a cape and is actually a superhero, because they pretty much will help you guarantee future business and repeat business and profitability as well. So Haresh, again, thank you for sharing your insights with me so far. And did I kind of explain the role of the customer success manager right? That is a person who's a superhero actually?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. If they are responsible for the growth of a company, valuation of a company across the enterprise, to make sure appropriate steps are taken so your customer is engaged with you for not just 1 year, but 7 years, 10 years, 20 years, for the life, that person is not an ordinary person.
Yeah.
In one word, I describe them as unicorn.
Unicorn, there you go.
Because if you look at the functions that they work with, there's a service delivery function, very important, right? They need to deliver ongoing desired outcomes, so they're delivering value. So they have to understand the concept of value and which value needs to be provided so that the customer is engaged, number one. Number two, many a times they play a role of a teacher. They are trainers, right? They are trainers. They make sure that end user training, admin training is happening at the time the customer needs, and if it's not happening, they'll bring that topic up, right? So they are trainers. They are value delivery services people. They're also support people. They've got people calling, the customers calling and say, how do I do this? Last time I built this did not work this way. How can you help me? Can you help me, or can you send me to somebody on your team that will help me? So they are the quarterback, they are the support people as well. Then they have to make sure that the customer success function helps company that they are working for also growing, right? So they have to have sales acumen. I'm not saying they're the hunters, but they want to make sure that the work they do results in the outcome of growth and expansions. So they have to have that mindset. So now you've talked about account management role, trainer role, services role, support role. So if you drew a Venn diagram, the center is a CSM.
And I like the concept. So this unicorn that you're talking about, so essentially you try to explain to me what are the different roles and activities that they do. Now, what is the ideal profile of this person? So they can be a teacher, you said all this, but so if I wanted to, should they be somebody who is willing to talk to customers? Should they have a good communication skills? Should they have good analytical skills? So what are the different things that you look for in a customer success manager, in this unicorn?
Yeah, so when we hired CSM, or when people are putting their CSM function or role together, many a times I've seen successful CSMs who were like technical account managers, because they were technical in nature and they knew how to create value for the customer so that they can keep growing with them and provide it. I've also have CSMs that came from solution engineering background, because they knew how to configure, model, and think outside the box and create a solution for a customer that'll be appropriately accepted by them. I've also seen, believe it or not, I was with a company that their CSM was a psych major, and they were brought in, they were technically well groomed, they understood technology, but they were psych majors, so they knew how to create empathy. Because customers, when they are calling you, they're calling you because they need answers from you, they need help from you, or they are calling you to understand where they should be with you in the next iteration of their life with you. So you've got to understand the root cause of the communication. So yeah, they come from different areas, but mostly I see technical account management. I don't see anymore those account managers that wear a suit and a tie 90 days before renewal to go and meet with the customer.
Got it.
Those days are gone.
Those guys. It's interesting you talk about this. So have you in your opinion, do you think that being in sales before you go into customer success, is it a good thing or a bad thing, or it depends upon the individual? It depends is the easiest answer, I'm sure, but.
Yeah, no, I actually, now you bring up a very good point. Where does the customer success role reside?
Yeah.
Right? We said they have to have a seat at the table, they have to be connected to the fabric. Many a times, there's been a debate with a lot of people that I've talked to, wonderful people, that said customer success role should reside in any function that's forward customer facing.
Yeah.
So there are two areas that people have talked about. Number one, they said should reside in marketing because they are responsible for referenceability, case study, creating advocacy, getting those people to come and talk about it. Many, however, have talked about that the customer success function should reside in revenue center, chief revenue officer, who has both sales and marketing underneath them. More and more I'm seeing that. Yeah, but I still will be very transparent. There are still roles of customer success that belong into the operations area. But as I'm seeing, they're coming more in the CRO role, customer revenue operation role, because they're also looking at the upside.
Absolutely. Now, I have a question for you here. So one of the things, well, I've had many questions, of course, but the question one of the things is when I deal with a lot of B2B organizations out there, and essentially what they say is that every time a salesperson tries to come in, the customer says, I don't want to see the salesperson anymore. Now, when they would have somebody from service come in, they would say, you know what, great, let them in, because at the end of the day, their idea was that the service people were not out there to sell them anything, right? So what we saw was a move towards getting your frontline service employees to give them slowly sales targets so that they would actually, when they get in, the customer is not suspicious or anything else, that they can actually use it to try and sell more because they have an in into the customer. Now, I've heard a lot of debates similarly in customer success, whether customer success managers should be given revenue targets. And I've seen a couple of companies now move towards that. For the longest time, they've held off giving revenue targets to customer success. What are your thoughts on that one?
There's an indirect revenue target, not a direct revenue target, right? I mean, as a result of the customer growth, customer success people should be recognized. In my opinion, they should be recognized, they should be compensated for it. But as an indirect relationship of delivering value to the customer, right? So not like a sales hunters are. They have a commission, they have a quota that they retire and they go to the next customer. But when 90% of the growth of an existing customer comes post initial sale, well, CSMs have a key role that they play in it. And many a times I've seen that they want to play a role in not necessarily selling more software seats. That's not the only metric that they get compensated for or CSMs get recognized for. In one of my customers, and I'm glad to see others are grabbing onto, is they are monetizing customer success deliverables through by creating additional services opportunities, which is recurring managed services.
Good.
And that is possible because if you're tracking time and duration of work you spend to create value, this company is going in front of their customers and saying, look, Miss Customer, we've spent 16 hours in the last quarter to have you work with us on analytics project that you wanted to have a question about. Why don't you buy our gold package, which gives you 32 hours and gives you a dedicated CSM as well.
Indeed.
And people buy, people pay for value.
Absolutely.
And they keep growing their subscription services revenue.
But the question is, when you were able to deliver that, the person who was actually in front of the customer was not there or made it very clear to the customer that they do not want you to pay or anything directly, that they were not responsible for closing the deal. But I've literally seen some companies which said no revenue, direct revenue targets. Now they say you're responsible for doing this, but also you're supposed to be bringing in so much revenue, direct revenue. What are your thoughts on that one?
That's tricky. A lot of, because a lot of people, I spoke to a company yesterday, somebody who said, we have two teams in customer. One team is called customer success, that's only primarily doing customer delivery, value delivery. And yes, we want to have them monetize their services, but where it comes to actually dying direct revenue target, that's a different team. It's called, relationship management.
Yeah, so as long as you have that, for me, that's okay.
Yes.
But I have actually seen literally customer success managers being asked and told that they will have to ask for business, which for me, it would defeat the purpose, because I've seen organizations where the company clearly says, I do not want to talk to a sales rep. Now, I'm not saying that it's right for them to say that, but the fact is that they have the reasons for it. But the reason why a service person would get into the door was because they were out there to solve a problem that the user or somebody had. And that was the role for me, the customer success. So I'm just curious to see.
By the way, service, you talk about service. These days, because of the subscription economy we live in, companies are not buying SOW services anymore, or they don't want to.
What is SOW?
Statement of work.
Statement of work, correct.
Because services in the past used to create statement of work.
This is what we have.
And inevitably there was a scope creep.
Yeah.
And so when you're about to finish your services, you say, oh, by the way, it requires X amount more because that statement of work had some new things that you brought in. Well, now customers are expected to pay ongoing delivery of value rather than statement of work, because SOW by nature has a start and a stop.
Absolutely.
Customer success has no stop.
Absolutely.
When they start, they've got to continue. So that's the difference. So right now, I haven't seen a lot of services people going. I've seen a lot of customer success people going into customers to make sure that they are not only creating value for them, but also growing them.
Haresh, thank you so much for sharing all of your insights. I'm sure that we'll have a chance to discuss more about very specific aspects of every aspect, because we had a limited time to discuss all this. But I hope that we stay in touch, and actually we can share more of your insights about how Bolstra is going out there creating value for your customers and doing a fantastic job, not just creating value for your customers, but also for them to create value for their customers as well. And once again, thank you everyone for tuning in. And again, we look forward to having more of Haresh's insights and also reading more about the success of Bolstra in every kind of press out there.
Thank you.
Thank you again.